Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Ready Speaker. I'm your host, Roland LaRucci, and we're doing a review today on Cocaine Bear. So there has been some negative, I guess, headlines about this. Again, I just read the headlines. I don't really go into the reviews. I like to surprise myself when I look at these movies. So they've been talking about it, and how it's probably a snooze fest, a bore. I actually enjoyed it tremendously. Let's just go over some stats here real quick. So it came out 2022. This is the last film of Ray Liotta, and the other top cast here, according to IMDb, is Kerry Russell, Alden Ehrenreich. I guess that's sort of how it's played, said. O'Shea Jackson Jr., I think that's Ice Cube's son. Whatever, they're related. Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who's been in a lot of TV stuff, a lot of film stuff. You've seen him forever. Brooklyn Prince, Christian Convery, Margot Martindale, Jesse Tyler Ferguson does a great job. Christopher Hivju, he's Olaf. You remember him from Game of Thrones, a very redheaded sort of guy. And Ayulo Smart. Those are the major players in this. Aaron Holiday also, I think, is there. J.B. Moore. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. It's a good little cast. I'll tell you, from the headlines that I read about this, it seemed like it would be boring. It wouldn't be funny. And let's see who's directed this. Sorry. Again, this is Elizabeth Banks, and the writer is Jimmy Warden, based on a real story where there was a drop of cocaine over Tennessee or wherever it was in the middle of the country, and some bear ate it. In the real story, the bear died from all the cocaine and just had a heart attack, which probably makes more sense. But it wouldn't be as fun as this movie. Now, I know it's listed as a thriller horror comedy. It's the IMDb rating is 6.4, which is really low for this film. You got to go in with zero expectations. If you go in with zero expectations, forget about the trailer. I mean, it's fun to watch, but forget about the trailer. Forget about what it's showing you, because it's going to hype things up. But there are some great bits in it. I think the CGI holds up. It wasn't distracting at any point. The lighting was great. Some of the peripheral characters I thought were really, really interesting. The panic was real in this. And there were some bits that did make me laugh, and there were gory horror bits. Even the poster, I think, is amazing. It came up earlier, and maybe I should keep it up the whole time, because I think it's probably one of the best movie posters I've seen in a long time. And there's some good things here that I really want to point out. Again, I think this is a note I have for a lot of actors and things in films. And in this film, maybe because of the script, maybe because of the storyline of what they had to bring to it, but a lot of the actors are definitely doing the homework and thinking about what's going on, and thinking about the process of the story and the cocaine bear and the fear of the cocaine bear. And it's 0 to 60 all the time. And it's once they interact with this, it just goes all over the place. And I love that. I love that when I see actors really engaged in the story and sort of just all in and having a really good time, no matter where they are. And it could be a funny bit, it could be a serious bit, but it's definitely definitely a feeling of them being all into this. It's shot, set in the 70s, I guess, and that's what it looks like. 70s, maybe early 80s. Looking at the costume design, which I thought was great. I think they did a great job with costume design and showing those extremes of fashion, the shorts and the colors used, hairstyles, everything like that, and people sort of breaking away from that. So they're the people who stuck a little bit further behind, people where they were. Everybody's making every character's making a choice of who they want to be, and that was an interesting time in the 80s, 70s and 80s, leading up, I guess, right up to the butt of the 90s, where people still felt they needed to be a little bit unique and finding their way. And I think that's a lot of the styling choices here are like that. Now, I like that. I like the fact that it was shot during the day. You never see a horror film shot during the day. You never see a thriller shot during the day. There is a segment that goes to night, but the bulk of this is really one day. And that is great for me, because most things are just shot too dark. I watched it at home. It's streaming now, and it's a great streaming film. I'm probably going to watch it again. I think that the funniest, not funniest, I think one of the worst things right now with the way a lot of the stories are told in film and TV even, is that everything is so dark in it, that it's always rainy, it's always gloomy, and then they have like these accent lights and whatever that pop people's silhouettes. But at home, or even in the theater, a lot of times it's just too freaking dark. And I know people always complain about it, but it's so dark. And this one, because it was shot during the day, it didn't lose anything. You could still tell a story, and maybe because it's an animal, and that's part of it. That's not a human being, so there's no argument or conversation that can happen, and you can make that choice if they'll shoot it during the day. Admirable job. Love that it was shot in the park. Some great pretty shots in there. Some really good, tempo, styling, rhythm. Kerry Russell, I think did a great job. Elizabeth Banks, I think did a great job. The editing was solid. I think it's a 9, maybe 9 out of 10. I don't know if it was, there was a couple of things that felt a little off, but again, that's with coverage, and you're dealing with CGI and those other things, and there's a lot of characters, or at least a lot of important characters. This is very much an ensemble piece where every character has a story, and you're following that line up until where they exit the story, but you're following them, and you're learning about them, and it's kind of unique, kind of funny, and there's a little bit of, I guess sort of like a hiking trail, a little bit of crumbs leading up to where you sort of develop what they are and what they can bring to the story. So I admire that. I know I said it before, but that's really well done. I think totally underappreciated. Made me laugh a couple times. Made me think about it. Made me think about the shots. I really wasn't paying that much attention to the technical aspects of this film, and that's a plus. Because if the story's weak, then I drill right into technical stuff. I drill into bad edit, bad audio, bad lighting, choices, all these things. And that's when I start checking my watch, and I'm done, and I want to get out of this. But with this film, I really didn't focus on the technical, besides being taken in by the daylight shots, the scenery, and some of the really good tight shots of reactions of the actors. Again, I'll tell you honestly, I mean, this is top cast here. It's not that big of a cast, but I didn't mention Leo Hanna, Kyun Kim, Scott Seiss, Matthew Reese. Everybody has a little bit that's awesome in this, and it kind of made me really chuckle. I'll tell you, some of the lines were kind of cute, maybe over the top. Definitely shot in that period too. I think the color palette of what was chosen for the shots, very much. Even some of the shots, I think, were very much in that period. I really didn't pick up on the score. The opening is an interesting score. The choice for song, the end, also interesting choice for song. Definitely of period. Definitely has a vibe to it that is not out there right now. I'll tell you, even while I was watching this, it sort of made a mental note in my head of how these songs from the 70s and the 80s, and how they have this energy and this bass line, this thump that sort of comes through, and it gets you to a point, and it gets your attention. And maybe, I don't want to say like, oh, there's nothing out there like that. I'm sure there is, but the fact that a lot of films, a lot of TV are really have been for a while pulling songs from the 70s and the 80s, and there are these incredible rhythms and walls of sound, which I know was sort of like from Motown, the wall of sound, or what is it? Whatever. I remember that was from the 60s, the wall of sound. But there is this build-up and excellent production value, and you sort of just feel like you're in the presence of energy when you hear some of these songs. So good choices on that. Really cute ensemble. There's kids in it, and they do an admirable job. I think probably better than most pain-in-the-ass kids, and I find that in a lot of films today, the kids are just obnoxious and a pain in the ass and know-it-alls, and it's kind of it's kind of off-putting in a lot of ways. Because nothing stays the same. So once they have one kid who does that successfully, or one character that's a child that does that successfully in a film, everybody repeats it, and they just heighten it, and they just heighten it, and they just heighten it, and heighten it, and at some point it becomes grating. And that could be for any character. It doesn't matter that they're a kid. It could be the know-it-all cop, the wizard, Sherlock Holmes type detective. It just becomes annoying where something is so absolute, and a lot of times these kids are just absolute. And it's just so annoying, so grating. Let them be kids. Let them deliver a line like a kid. Let the story be like they're a kid rather than like a 45-year-old person in a kid's body with the sass that I just don't need sometimes. And when you're scared, you shut the fuck up. And there's great moments in this. with the kids. Some great peripheral characters with it. O'Shea, let's go with the character names. David and Eddie are great as a duo in this. I thought they had some really, really good energy with it. So, Kerry Russell, Sari, is great job. Great job. Great job. I know she's been in the business for a long time. You see her and everything. But really, really good job. And even Jesse Tyler Ferguson, small bit in there for him. But really, really good job. He delivers his energy, this character. He's on his marks all the time, which I think is great. I mean, I can go down the list, and I found moments for everybody. I found moments for everybody. And that's the great thing with the film. So is it worth the 6.3? And it's a $30 to $35 million film. Most of it was probably CGI because the bear is in almost every scene. And it was not distracting. I've seen things where you know it's animated. This has features and reactions associated to it that are very human, but you don't get distracted by it. You don't get distracted by this is a drawing. You're in the moment. It's kind of funny. It goes out there. It's gory. So if you like a little bit of horror, a little bit of gore, a little bit of humor, and some interesting peripheral characters that sort of paint a different kind of picture, I think this is the movie for you. I'd watch it. There was a lot of hype about it. A lot of people were excited about it, and I think it's worth definitely more than the 6.4, which on IMDb right now. I think it's just a really good film. So thanks, dedicated to Ray Liotta. I would say that he went out, an interesting character. And good casting by whoever did the casting for this, and I don't really look at those, but that's something that people don't really look at is all the casting of it. And I think that's really, really, really interesting, to me. So an executive, long list of executive producers on this. Casting by Dylan Jury and Deborah Zane. Good job to them. So shout out to that crew who did this. Production design was Aaron Hay. Also, very, very good job. Art direction by Connor Dennison and Christine McDonough. I'm sorry, it's an Irish name, so it's set coordination. John Nelligan, Jill Turner. Costume design, Taziana Corvaseri. Good stuff. Really, really, really good stuff. I mean, I think the art department's huge. Sound department, great sound on this. Good, kudos technically, because again, it's not distracting. And bad technical stuff is distracting. Bad storytelling makes me look at the distracting technical stuff. This, I think, won on all counts. I think it's a great movie. I think you should watch it. It's definitely a fun watch. It's definitely something you can watch a couple of times and enjoy it. So that's it. That's my review for Cocaine Bear. So, all the best. This is Roland Rucci. Love having you. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the evening. Enjoy starting a new day. Don't worry about it. Everything's okay, because it could be a lot worse. You could be meeting up with a cocaine bear.